What up? Hello, beautiful queens and kings out there. You are now listening to Uncharted Melanin, an unfiltered podcast where creativity and expansion meets Black excellence. Daily raw and unfiltered content Monday through Friday, and interviews every Thursday. You aren't going to want to miss today's episode. Let's get started. Hey guys, so there has been a lot going on within this last couple of weeks. I don't know if you've been feeling this energy from the Mercury retrograde, but communications, heavy on the communications, is what's been affecting me. And I took some time to really reflect, as I always want to make sure I am producing things that are aligned with my goals and my visions, and making sure I am where I need to be, constantly upgrading, constantly getting downloads, and just figuring out how I could be the best version of myself. And I just wanted to talk about dating because this is something that I've been going through. I feel like I don't want to say struggling with dating, but struggling with dating my whole entire life. And yeah, I just thought, what better way to have a unfiltered, real conversation about what's been going on. So I just want to start out by telling you guys about my childhood. Growing up, I grew up in a household with my mama and my dad and my sister. My mom and dad are high school sweethearts and have been in a loving, beautiful relationships for about 29 years now. They just had their 29th wedding anniversary. And I have to say, I've seen a really great example of what love should look like. I've seen healthy relationships, and I believe that's definitely helped me growing up, not getting myself into situationships just because I had a really good example. My grandparents on my mama's side and my dad's sides were also in really committed, loving relationships. I saw them argue more than I saw like my parents argue, but it wasn't anything crazy. I still feel like I had a really grounded sense of what it meant to be in a partnership with someone. So fast forwarding to pretty much, I had my first real relationship. And I would say my first real relationship because we moved into each other's houses and we're starting to build in that way. So I had my first real relationship when I moved out here to Hawaii about 3.5 years ago, I would say. And the relationship that I was in was I want to say from the outside in, obviously most relationships look good because nobody ever wants to show you the bad things and what's really going on. But from my relationship, it was, looking at it from where and what I know now, my relationship was one where I was settling because I wanted to be in a relationship, and I was falling in love, not necessarily with the person, but with the potential of what my life could look like with this person. But while I was in the relationship, I feel like I have pretty much been single my whole entire life. Dating has been, I don't want to say like difficult, but I've just always been the single friends. My friends have always been in relationships, and it's not because I thought I was like too bougie, but truthfully, men have never really been like crawling over me or like wanting to pursue me in a relationship outside of just wanting to fuck me. So I think that for me, in a sense, was also really hard because like I knew that I wasn't ugly, and I knew that men wanted my vagina, wanted me, but I felt really angry because I felt like no one ever wanted to pursue me in a relationship. And that was like, and has been a theme that has been really defeating and really bringing me back to, why do I feel this way and what makes me think that I'm unworthy of a relationship. So, where was I? My relationship with my ex. Yeah. He was my first real relationship, and I learned a lot about myself. I thought, from my perspective, like, oh, I am like just the best girlfriend in the whole entire world. I couldn't do any wrong. But when the relationship really ended, I recognized where I had issues with communicating, not necessarily wanting to communicate as a way of avoidance to avoid arguments. And then when arguments would happen, they would not be good. There would be yelling, name calling, and that is just something that I did not see growing up, so I didn't know how to react. And I also really want to speak on the behalf of, sometimes it's easy to be single or to say what you will and will not do in a relationship until you're in one, and all of a sudden those things that you were so strong in your foundation and trusting within yourself slowly start to fade away. And I felt like in that relationship I was really just losing myself, and when it eventually came to a head and he broke up with me, I was just so angry. I was frustrated. I was like, how did I allow myself to get in this situation, and why did I tolerate and accept it? And in the beginning, I was really hurt. I was so hurt. And I'm not going to lie to you, that was not the best light to see me under. I was really angry, and I just had so much like hate. And like the person that I was towards the end after we broke up was a person that I didn't even recognize. And of course, I can now see from a healed perspective, like I was just doing what was best for me to protect my heart. But ultimately, after we broke up, it really gave me the time, space, and freedom to really get clear on what I want in a relationship, who I want to be in a relationship, and the type of man that I am going to accept into my life the next time I get into a relationship. And that was really difficult because the life that I was living, I wasn't expecting any like explosive or bombs to go off. And I feel like our breakup was very much of an explosion and a bomb, and everything just got rearranged. And then I was trying to figure out, like, am I going to go home? Am I going to stay here? At this time, while I was living in Hawaii, it was just me, and I had no family, no friends. And I had just moved out of my apartment to move in with him. And now I had to move out. It was just a lot going on. But in that darkness and in that confusion and in all of that turmoil, I sought clarity in who I wanted to become. Instead of focusing on, the man, like I just said, I really wanted to focus on healing myself, asking myself, why am I triggered by certain things? Asking myself, why do I not want to communicate? And it really came from the answers that I got, really came from not wanting to be alone, not wanting to feel unworthy, and wanting someone to love me the way that I loved myself. And that last one, wanting someone to love me the way that I love myself, the clarity and the vision that I got from that is I wasn't being kind to myself, and I wasn't loving myself. I was focusing on filling up somebody else's cup in hopes that they would do the same to me, which just depleted me and drained me from my energy and did not allow me to show up as the best version of myself. And I don't believe allowed my ex at the time to show up as his best version. And that's really when, this is a little off topic, but it's still a part of the storyline, but that's really when I came up with Divine Beautiful Me, and I really started focusing on healing my own shit, on focusing on being a better individual, on focusing on instead of like going out and drinking and partying, I really got serious and integral about my healing, about taking time to feel the emotions, to feel the abandonment, to feel the aloneness, to feel the unworthiness, to feel every emotion that was going through my body. I gave myself time and space to feel it and to let it go. And to truly, really start letting go of the way that I used to view relationships. So that was pretty much like my past and my first relationship and learning all of that stuff. And I took some time off to really learn about myself in other relationships because I knew I wasn't ready to jump into a relationship. And listen, I am no longer calling meeting up with people and figuring out what you like a hoe phase. We're going to call this an exploration phase because there's nothing wrong with being a woman in charge of your own sexual energy and making decisions for you. And I do not resonate anymore with society trying to tell me what is right and what is wrong for my body when I am in control. So anywho, after that relationship, I had an exploration phase of meeting more men and going on dates and figuring out what I liked and what I didn't like. And again, the same thing coming up in that exploration phase of people wanting to, have a little dabble in the punani, but not trying to, dabble into my life and put that ring on my finger. So I crack myself up sometimes. So ultimately, I took some time off from dating because I was just feeling depleted and I was feeling, tired. I was feeling exhausted. I think I was honestly just tired of seeing the same results happening. The definition of insanity, doing the same exact thing, expecting different results. So that was like a couple of years ago. Now we're going to fast forward to where I'm at now. And yep, that's where we were. Yeah, so I feel like I left that out and I'm trying to decide if it's too late to bring it in. But it is not, because this is a unfiltered podcast. So let's go. So where I'm at now is I'm currently practicing celibacy. And when I think of celibacy, some people think it just means abstaining from sex. And growing up, I had a purity ring for a really long time, and I did not, do the deed until I was I believe I was 21 or 22, way back when. And sex has just always been super sacred to me, and I'm not mad at any of my past or who I slept with, but where I'm at today and where I'm at in my journey has really been coming to an understanding of how powerful our sexual energy is and how I just can't be given or just giving. I just can't be giving or just taking on anybody's sexual energy, and really focusing on how to harness my own energy, how to focus on really loving myself and really working on being the best version of myself. This has been a really interesting journey because I almost compare it to when I had the purity ring versus where I'm at now. And they're two different types of energy that I am in, So now I'm dating, and in the past, I feel like my discernment was a little hazy because I would always, want to give people the benefit of the doubt. But just recently I was talking to a guy and we were just having an honest conversation about where we were at. And I knew that the relationship that we were talking about, whatever the hell, was definitely going to be a lust versus a relationship type of relationship. And I really had to give myself a pat on the back because I was like, Kanikia, I'm really proud of you for being able to discern the difference. Because I'm going to be honest, in the past, I really could not tell the difference in between a man that was trying to pursue me and a man that was trying to fuck me. And this has been like the golden lesson to me, and especially within my celibacy journey, because it's not so much about the sex rather than really learning and getting a chance to know you. And this is just my celibacy journey. I'm not like speaking on anybody else's. So however you relate to that is completely fine as well. But this is just where I'm at. So my celibacy journey has really been clearing out all of those men that ain't truly shit and really helping me align the people, women, men, the people that I surround myself with, their energy. It's helping me awaken those subtle senses within my body, and I'm super happy. So I know the beginning of this episode I was saying, struggling with dating and all that stuff, but lately I've been dating me, myself, and I, and it's been the most beautiful, nurturing, humbling experience to get a chance to dive deep and feel whole within myself. I feel like for so long I just thought, I have to be in a relationship to be happy, and being the single one and seeing all of my friends be in a relationship just kind of made me like question like what's wrong with me. But the Kanikia Pagis who stands here today, who's recording here today, knows and truly genuinely believes that I am whole and I am complete, and I don't need to be fulfilled by somebody's dusty ass son who ain't gonna be doing shit for me. You know what I'm saying? No offense to anybody's mama who raised a dusty ass son, but that's where I'm at. I am open and receptive to calling in my divine masculine and ready to, when the time is right. I mean, I feel content and happy here, but when the time is right, definitely becoming a powerhouse with my divine masculine. And I'm ready to continue leading with my heart open. And I am just like loving this because, yes, rejection in the past has really just led to redirection all the time. Learning to pivot, learning to go with the twists and turns that life has, and just focus on you. The people that are the people, the men, the women, she, they, her, him, that are supposed to be in your life will naturally come to you. But ultimately, I just wanted to share what's been going on in my dating life and where I'm currently at. I feel really whole and complete after that. I don't really feel like I need to say too much more or less. If you guys have like any questions, definitely hit me up on Instagram. I would love to keep this conversation going, and you tell me where you're at within your dating life. Maybe we could talk some other stories about dating. I'm happy to share because first and foremost, we are all walking each other home, and I know I say this a lot, but the healing that I am doing, the healing that you are doing is collectively upgrading and allowing us to literally like an arrow sling forward into our growth, into our progress, into our highest and truest and authentic version of ourselves. And in a world where, I know you guys hear me say this, be your true authentic version, it can be hard because we have so many, things that are, I'm going to save this for another podcast episode because I will continue going and rambling about that. But just to end it on what I was just saying, being your true authentic version of yourself can be clouded sometimes by the people we're surrounding ourselves with, and that's why it's so important for us, each and every single one of us listening right now, to get a chance to know thyself. Because if we don't know ourselves, people are going to come into our life and tell us who we are. But it is up to you to know and to learn and to figure out who your best version of yourself is, and you are so supported and you are so divine, and who you are, you don't need anyone to tell you, because you already know. Spend some time doing things that light your heart on fire. I mean, it's the ocean. I need to be touching that water. Water-based activities is what makes me feel like I am tapping into my divine. But this can look like anything for you. So stay focused on you. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I am excited to chat with you guys tomorrow, and I so greatly appreciate the love and everything. Yes, all of that and above. But I definitely appreciate you guys for taking time to listen and to continue to support me. I only hope that it's only up from here. The podcast continues to grow. The community that we have continues to grow. And we just continue to support each other, because we are kings and we are queens. And for so long, they tried to tell us that we are not worthy. But I'm here to remind you that you are. I love you. What's up? Hello, my beautiful Nubian queens and kings out there that are listening right now. Thank you so much for pressing play. I'm super stoked to be here. My name is Kanikia, your host for Uncharted Melanin, the podcast, a unfiltered podcast where creativity and expansion meets Black excellence. Daily raw and unfiltered content Monday through Friday, and interviews every Thursday. You aren't going to want to miss today's episode, so let's dive right in.